The Bank of Canada just said that Canadians need to accept a lower standard of living.
And unless we change some other things, our standard of living as a country, Canadians, is going to be lower than it otherwise would have been.
Yeah, let's say that.
So let's get right into the clip that is going viral right now, which is showing the Bank of Canada saying Canadians should accept a lower standard of living. Take a listen to this.
Hi, thanks for taking our questions. Given the close trading relationship that we have with the United States, what do you see as the most concerning long-term impact of Trump's trade policies? And also, what is your message to struggling businesses and job seekers about how bleak the economic forecast is?
Look, I think, the reality is, open trade with the United States has benefited both our countries for many years now. It allows for a more efficient allocation of production. It allows us to specialize in the production of certain goods, export those, import goods from the United States that they specialized in. We can both benefit from economies of scale. We can benefit from expertise, different resource endowments across the country.
Come on.
Increased trade friction with the United States means all that works less efficiently. And unfortunately, what that means is that unless something else changes, our incomes will be lower than they otherwise would have been. They'll grow, but they'll grow along a lower. This was the old path. Now there's a new path, which is below the old path. There are things the country can do to try to bend that curve up, but those aren't things monetary policy can do. These are more structural changes. Fundamentally, as a senior deputy governor has hammered many times, we need to get our productivity growth up. And if we can do that as a country, we can bend that curve up. So, I think what's most concerning is that unless we change some other things, our standard of living as a country, Canadians, is going to be lower than it otherwise would have been.
So there you go. The standard of living is going to be lower than it otherwise would have been, said directly by the Bank of Canada, something that we've been saying for years on this channel, because this was not just about tariffs. As you can see from this unemployment chart, you can clearly see that unemployment was rising before tariffs. Productivity was a problem before tariffs. You also had GDP growth that was a problem before tariffs. Canada has relied far too much on an immigration bubble, a housing bubble, and also a government bubble, and many of those bubbles are now imploding, and that, coupled with the fact that trade with the United States is now disrupted and fractured, and that's just going to continue, especially as the US economy continues to weaken, because even though the US economy is stronger, it's definitely weakening, and the tariffs are starting to have an impact there. But it's also going to have a massive impact on Canada's economy as well, no doubt. And you will remember that we did a video about 6 months ago that was showing the Bank of Canada, they were saying about their two scenarios, and now it looks a lot more likely that their worst case scenario is coming true. And I'll just play that clip for you.
The economy is very weak. The economy is in a year-long recession in scenario 2, and that is creating quite a bit of downward pressure on inflation. So yes, inflation goes up temporarily, but it does come down. And as I've said repeatedly, we're going to be assessing those upward and downward pressures on inflation. We'll do as much as we can to support the economy while maintaining our primary focus on price stability. We've calibrated the response that I would call it a serious recession. It's a 4-quarter recession. It'll be painful. In fact, in scenario 2, the U.S. economy goes into a recession. If the U.S. economy goes into recession, that's going to further weaken demand for Canadian goods and services.
So the standard of living continues to collapse. If you've enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, then please subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think of this in the comments below. And if you want to help support my work, check out the links in the description. I will see you in the next one. Take care.